Hey everyone, and welcome back to Newegg TV. My name is Paul, and today we're bringing you a motherboard unboxing and overview. You may have seen our previous video on the MSI Z87 XPOWER. Now we're bringing you a video on a board based on another letter entirely. This is the MSI Z87 XPOWER. We'll start off with a closer look at the retail box. This is a Z87 chipset motherboard, which means it's designed for Intel's 4th generation core processors, aka Haswell socket 1150. So not going to work with Sandy Bridge or Ivy Bridge processors. You need a new Haswell processor for this board. Maintaining the X theme, we have Extreme Power, so they're going with all digital power delivery. They actually have a 32-phase power delivery system. You can see it shown right there in the picture. That is without the heatsink on it, so that's going to be the only look you actually get at those power phases for this particular video. Dual 8-pin power connectors, also a 6-pin PEG power connector for extra power for the Pci Express lanes, because this board is also set up for extreme multi-GPU, as you can see right there. So they have 4-way SLI and Crossfire X solution. They have done that by expanding the number of PCI Express Gen 3 lanes with the addition of a PLX chip. That's specifically the PLX Express Lane PEX 8747 chip. That's going to give you additional bandwidth so you can actually set up 3-way and 4-way Crossfire and SLI solutions, which is pretty cool. You also have this little feature, Pcie Ceasefire, so you have little switches located on the board, so if you do set up a multi-card configuration, and let's say you have a water cooling loop set up in there and you want to test a single card instead of 2 or 3, you can simply switch off the lanes. Very helpful for specific situations, particularly with overclocking and benchmarking. Also, for the components used on the board on the lower left here, this is a military class 4 spec board, so you have your 3-in-1 package MOSFETs, your high thermal stability capacitors right there. Also the dark caps for long lifetime, low ESR and low temperature, super ferrite chokes for power efficiency, and then an OC PCB, which means they've used 50% more layers than the average motherboard design in the PCB, optimized for overclocking. And then some OC essentials over here on the right. Essential features such as a clear CMOS button located externally, a debug LED, which is extremely helpful. I love having a debug LED on board. Easy buttons, so surface mounted power and reset. Direct overclock buttons for adjusting the CPU, B clock, and ratio. You also have a discharge button, so if you're powering down and you want to fully discharge the board and any capacitance in the capacitors and that sort of thing, hit that button. It will discharge everything and make sure you're good to go for adding and removing components. Also voltage read points located on the board. And I know I'm spending a lot of time on the retail box here, guys, but bear with me. We'll get to the motherboard in just a moment. A quick look at the back, some little charts there indicating what's what. Enhanced PWM cooling, better power stability, 32-phase power delivery. This is a lot of stuff we've already talked about on the inside flap. But we also have detailed specifications listed there on the bottom. Again, I'm not going to go over all of these in detail, but if you want to pause and take a closer look, you can. I'm going to go ahead and move on to accessories. All right, here's the motherboard itself. We're going to finish with the detailed look at that. Apart from that, we have one additional box in here with accessories. Let's take a look. All right, high performance and OC power. This is a specific 8 series platform overclocking guide from MSI. So if you're not familiar with overclocking, this has a several page layout with pictures and color. So you can sort of take a look at that. They're showing you some examples using CPU-Z over here. I've also got a layout of how the CPU actually works in there, which is kind of cool. A little demo of the ring bus and whatnot. So yeah, assistance for overclocking, since this is an overclocking specific motherboard. You also get, a mouse pad. Check that out. I'm going to actually take this out of the plastic just to get a better feel for it. There we go. MSI Gaming Motherboard Series mouse pad. Steel Series logo up there as well, so I'm guessing this is co-opted with Steel Series. Nice little mouse pad, thin and light. All right, apart from that, a guide for the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth module, since this does come with equipped with Wi-Fi. Let's see, accessories also include, man, a lot of bridges. Okay, let's do serial ATA. I'll pop one of these open. For serial ATA, you get a total of 6 SATA cables. Looks like all of them have the 90-degree bracket on one end and a straight plug on the other. They're white and black. They have little clasps to hold them in place, and they're all going to be SATA revision 1, 2, or 3 compatible. You also have a collection of SLI bridges right here. which is kind of nice because they're giving you different lengths. These are the ribbon style cable ones, so you can use them depending on where you're actually setting up your SLI and where you're positioning the cards, if you want to space them out, for example, for more airflow. They also have MSI logo and NVIDIA SLI, and they're also black, which also gives it a clean look, since those can often be quite visible when you set up a multi-card configuration. There are a ton of accessories in here, guys, so bear with me just a moment. I'm actually just going to get them all out of the box. Okay, those are antennas. This is, here's a little kit that I've seen before with some motherboards. This is essentially a rear panel PCI bracket. Gives you some external serial ATA and power right there, so you just route those cables over to your motherboard, route this cable from your power supply, and it gives you a really easy way to just plug in external hard drives without necessarily having to use SATA or eSATA or USB 3 or something like that. Speaking of USB 3, you get an internal bracket with the 20-pin USB 3 motherboard header connector, so you can add a couple more USB 3.0 ports to the back of your case. You get, of course, an input-output shield right there, which is black and yellow, sticking with the color scheme, and everything's, of course, labeled so you can tell what's what. Here is the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth module. I'm actually going to set this aside because we're going to come back to it. Here are some voltage read leads, so you can plug those into the board, use your multimeter to get your voltage checkpoints up and running. You have the M connectors right here, so these make it a bit more easy to plug in your front panel connectors. Documentation also included right here, lots of it. Oh, MSI G Series Gaming case badge. Here is a generic quick installation guide, which you can use to help install. You get a couple items here. Okay, this is going to be your driver discs, or driver disc, I should say. I recommend going to MSI's website to download the latest ones. You also get a separate disc here. These just include your LAN, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth drivers for that little add-on adapter. Certificate of quality and stability for the military class 4 components on the board. This little guide, which is, I guess, this little add-on thing specific to the Z87 XPOWER, maybe like a little mini poster, I suppose. Oh, no, this is useful. Okay. This actually has a layout of the entire board with little arrows pointing to what's what. I'm going to actually do this for you guys in this video in just a moment, so that will come in handy. Also, I kind of like this little hanger. This is if you're a little door hanger out buying LN2, because that's, I mean, if you leave, that's probably what you're going to be doing. And if you're in there, you're probably going to be breaking world records, so that's your door hanger. Software and application guide for the included software, and also your main motherboard manual, which is infinitely useful to keep on hand while you're doing your build. It's going to have a layout of everything on the board, specifically there, as well as guiding you through specific stuff like which DIMM slots they recommend and that sort of thing. And lastly, we have this Bluetooth wireless module. Give me just a moment to remove all this. Okay, so here is your Wi-Fi card. It comes via a small riser which fits at the back of your motherboard, so it's not going to take up any of your Pci Express slots. This is Intel WiDi capable, which means it's got an Intel Centrino Wi-Fi chip in there. It's Wi-Fi 802.11bg and N, also includes Bluetooth 4.0. Two little connection points right there, and that is where you will connect your two wireless antenna, or Wi-Fi antenna, that's what I should say. They've got little cables so you can position these wherever you like it, and of course you can orient the antenna to give yourself a better signal connection. And now let's take a closer look. The first thing you'll probably notice is that this is a large motherboard. It's actually the XL ATX form factor, so that's another thing you want to bear in mind. It's not going to fit in every single case, but the ones that it will fit in are awesome. XL ATX measures 13.6 inches or 34.5 centimeters tall and 10.4 inches or 26.4 centimeters wide. Also, you'll notice continuing the black and yellow color scheme, nice flat black PCB at the bottom, and let me just flip it over to give you guys a closer look at that. Also looking at the back here, notice some braces there for the heat sinks on the power delivery. Also down here you'll see the MSI logo in reverse, and what I believe are a bunch of LEDs that are going to light that up when the board is actually in use. I'm pretty sure that's how that's going to work. You might not want to quote me on that because I haven't actually plugged this board in. But I did want to point out the fan headers before we get into too much detail. You get a total of 7. They're all 4-pin PWM, starting with 2 at the top there for CPU main and CPU secondary. You also have another system fan header right there, that's 3. System fan header over here, that's 4. And then 5 and 6 down here at the bottom, 5 and 6. And number 7 is totally eluding me right now. I've blanked completely on where it is. Kyle found it. All right, the last one is right there. To go over them one more time, CPU fan 1, CPU fan 2, optional fan header 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that leads to 7. Overall, again, all those are 4-pin. Next up, let's take a super close-up look at the board. I'm going to start at the bottom in the lower right to be specific, where we have the fan header that I just told you guys about. Next to that, we have the ever-important debug LED. Next to that, we have your front panel connectors. Also above all that, you'll notice right here you have an MSI slot, so you can actually take an MSI SSD, drop it in right there. That's also going to run at SATA revision 3 speeds at 6 gigabits per second, and that's the one that's going to be running off of the integrated Z87 chipset. You also have a couple USB 2.0 connectors right there, the red one and the black one. The red one is going to support MSI's extra charger. I totally forget what they call that, but it provides additional power, and it also provides power while the computer is off. So that's a great one to route up to front panel USB, so you can charge devices such as a phone or I don't know, an iPad if you have one, off of your front panel connectors. You also have a fast boot button right there. Next to that is the other USB 2.0 port I already mentioned. Here you have the dip switches, and those are going to be how you control the ceasefire function. Ceasefire, so you can use those to turn your PCI Express lanes on or off. Next to that, another system fan header. Here's your front panel audio connectors, and you'll notice a bit of a sort of line that you can kind of see running up the side. They've gone with the technique, which is becoming more and more popular these days, of separating or providing some actual PCB separation between your audio components over here and the rest of the board. That's to provide some shielding and some protection from electromagnetic interference to help keep your audio signal nice and clean. Speaking of audio, it's based on the Realtek ALC 1150 codec, supports 7.1 channel high definition audio, and that line goes all the way up the board, even up to the analog connectors that are in the rear I/O. Moving along, we have Pci Express, and again, this board features support for 4-way Crossfire X and SLI configurations, so there's lots of slots. You get the PEG or PCI Express Graphics power connector that's up there at the top. This is an optional connector. Generally speaking, if you're going to go with an extreme graphics card configuration, I would say 3 or 4, but maybe even if you're going with 2-way, you want to plug that in to provide some extra power for the PCI Express lanes for stability, especially if you're going to be overclocking. Now, as far as the configuration here, I'll start off with the small ones. 2 of them, PCI Express X1 right there. Those are PCI Express Gen 2. The rest are all full-length X16. They're going to work in different at different speeds, either X16 or X8, depending on how many cards you actually have plugged in. The second slot right here is actually wired up directly to the CPU, so if you're going with a single card, you'll want to plug in directly to that, and that will give you the lowest latency. The 1, 3, 5, and 7 right here are all, again, full-length X16. This is actually X16, X8, X16, and X8 again. And again, I'm not going to go over every configuration, but if you do populate all 4 of those, they'll all run at X8, which is all you need at Gen 3 speeds for your 4-way SLI or Crossfire configurations. Moving on to the right. Actually, here's that MSI logo that lights up too. We think it lights up. Anyway, moving on to the right, we also have your heatsink there for your Z87 chipset, also yellow and black with the MSI logo on it. It's controlling a lot of stuff on the board. One of the coolest things for the new Z87 chipset is actually you get native serial ATA Gen 3 6 gigabits per second support for all 6 of the ports here with the red sticker on top. So all of those are native, all those support stuff like Intel Smart Response technology as well as RAID 0, 1, 5, and 10. You also have 4 more serial ATA Gen 3 6 gigabits per second ports right here. Those are added on from an add-on chip. That's an ASMedia ASM1061 chip, providing you additional serial ATA connectivity. So you got lots of SSDs, you can plug them all in right there. To the right of that, you got a 90-degree angled USB 3.0 front panel connector. Next to that, you have another USB 3.0 front panel connector. That's another thing that the Z87 chipset brings, is additional USB 3.0, and MSI has gone with the option of taking both of the ones that are available from Z87, and those are both wired to the internal ports, so you're going to get really fast speeds from those. There's more USB 3 on the back. That's by way of an add-on chip. Continuing on up the board, I did want to point out right here, you get a little dip switch. That's a multi-BIOS button. Since this board ships with a couple, you can switch that one back and forth, and there's actually LEDs located right above it, a green and a blue, that will light up to indicate which one you've selected. To the right of that, you have your main motherboard power connector. That's the 24-pin right there. Moving up the board, you'll see some more super ferrite chokes, the military class components. A better look at those, also the dark caps next to that. But here is the overclocking area, and this is where you get a lot of your options. So I want to point out the plus minus buttons. First of all, these you can use to manually overclock. This ones on the left are going to do your CPU ratio, so you can use those to automatically increase or decrease your multiplier. The ones on the right here, plus and minus buttons, are for your B clock or base clock. Those can increase or decrease your base clock in increments of 0.1 or 1 megahertz, and that is based on this little switch right here. The A setting is 0.1 megahertz, and if you switch it over to B, then the plus and minus will increase or decrease that in 1 megahertz increments. Also above that, you have the surface mounted power and reset buttons. Here's your discharge button as well. You should only use that while the system is off. OC Genie button is going to give you an automatic overclock, and it's also tied to this OC switch above it. In the lower position where it's at right now, it will give you a modest overclock. If you switch it to the upper setting and use the OC Genie button, it will give you a more aggressive overclock. Also to the right, those are all your voltage read points, so you can connect to your multimeter, use the little leads for that, and get your voltage read on. Apart from that, I should say next up we have your Ddr3 slots. So those are located right here. They're all black. This is dual channel, so you can pretty much only buy Ddr3 in sets of at least 2 right now, but make sure you at least get a couple of them. It supports DIMM capacities up to 8 gigs per DIMM, so that means you can do up to 32 gigs installed right there. And Intel has now supporting, or is now supporting, officially 1600 speed Ddr3. You can also do overclock speeds up to 3000. It supports non-ECC, unbuffered memory, and of course also supports Intel's XMP profiles. To the left of that, you have your LGA 1150 socket. Again, Haswell processors only. Intel's 4th generation core processors are what will fit in right there. And that is also going to be powered by all your power delivery components right there. So as we mentioned, they're all your power phase delivery elements right there. You can see the chokes, for example, the MOSFETs are going to be underneath these huge heat sinks, which also has a heat pipe connecting them. PLX is down here at the bottom, and the upper one here and the left one here are all for your CPU power delivery, the XPOWER componentry integrated here by MSI. For power for all that stuff, you have not one but 2 8-pin supplemental CPU power connectors. So make sure you got a beefy power supply with 2 of those if you do want to be doing your overclocking. Okay, finally we'll finish off with the rear I/O. On the left side over here we have a combo PS2 port for a mouse or a keyboard, so if you got an old school mechanical keyboard, something like that you're hanging on to, you will be supported. A couple USB 2.0 ports. You also notice this little header right in there, and that is for the Wi-Fi module that I showed you guys, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth module that I showed you guys at the beginning. You do have a button right there, that's for clear CMOS. You have lots of USB 3.0 here in the back. These are all via, all 8 of these ports are from an add-on ASMedia ASM 1074 chipset. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those. You also have video outs. Since Haswell processors do have an iGPU, you can actually support up to 3 monitors from your iGPU now. You also get Lucid's Virtue 2.0, so you can use that to swap back and forth between your integrated and discrete graphics, especially if you want to take advantage of stuff such as QuickSync technology. You get 2 HDMI as well as a display port right there. You also have an optical Toslink right there for your audio. You get your integrated, this is not a Realtek chip, I'm sorry. Your LAN is a Killer E2205 gigabit LAN, so that also supports Killer's packet prioritization software, which is pretty awesome. Then finally, your analog connection points for your microphone in, as well as all your analog outputs for your Realtek ALC 1150 codec, 7.1 channel high definition audio. And that is going to wrap it up for this video, guys. Once again, this has been our unboxing and overview of MSI's Z87 XPOWER Motherboard, a massive XL-ATX motherboard designed for multi-GPU configurations as well as overclocking, featuring the Z87 chipset, the 1150 socket for Intel's 4th generation core processors. I'm Paul with Newegg TV. If you enjoyed today's video, you can find more on our Newegg TV YouTube channel. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you all next time.